having my brother go through the judicial system, and not just my brother, but other family members as well. Growing up in La Puente, there's other people that I knew, friends, et cetera, that also went through the system. So I think that experience is what made me want to become a criminal defense attorney. Yeah, it's an insult that a lot of our clients will use against us. But I think it's, you got to think that we're dealing with people who are having, some of the worst days of their lives.
Sure.
So I remember my dad calling him up and, saying, my daughter needs an internship. Are you willing to take her? And one of the only questions that he asked was like, well, do I need to pay her? And when my dad said no, he's like, well, bring her on down.
Sign her up.
Yeah, sign her up. So off I went.
She can start tomorrow.
Yeah.
All rise to drink. Welcome to Sidebar Sessions by cdlaw, your personal injury law firm. Your hosts, Miguel Custodio and Vineet Dubey. Two lawyers and guests breaking down law and life over a glass of wine. Get ready. This is Sidebar Sessions.
Welcome to Sidebar Sessions, episode number 8. And today we have the honor of having Vanessa Rodriguez. Vanessa, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for joining us.
I'm excited to be here.
So, as always, let's open up a bottle of some bubbly. What are we having today? Breathless. Okay. And I will be drinking cranberry juice because I was in Vegas this weekend.
Oh, went a little bit too hard?
You can say.
Miguel had a big weekend.
Yeah. Big day.
Big day.
How about like 24 hours and then I was in bed.
It's all you need now.
That's
all right. 24 hours is plenty.
Yeah, you have to double up the recovery time nowadays, right?
Double.
The older you
Double.
get, it grows exponentially.
Yes.
5 times.
Triple, yeah, I know. So, Vanessa, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where'd you grow up?
Sure. Well, I work for the alternate public defender's office now here in LA, but I grew up in La Puente, California, which is in the San Gabriel Valley.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was born in El Monte, but my parents moved out to La Puente when I was really young. And so, yeah, I spent my childhood there. I went to elementary school, junior high, and high school out there before moving on to college.
What high school?
I went to Nogales High School.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And where'd you go to college?
I went to UCLA undergrad.
Nice.
Yeah, I went straight
Very
out of
nice.
high school.
Hello, Bruin. Cheers.
Yeah,
Cheers.
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 Clink, clink.
Yes. Ocean Spray's finest.
Nothing like bubbly at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Right?
huh?
Yeah.
On a Tuesday.
Yeah.
It tastes good on the. It's
A little
nice
different than the normal
Yes.
work day at the public defender's office.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yes.
a little bit different. Just a little.
So
She's like, no, actually, we just go from the flask.
We start a little.
We drink a little
earlier.
harder.
Well, I mean, I have heard that the PDs go hard, let me tell you.
Stressful job. We'll get into that.
Yes, we will. Yes,
Stressful
we will.
job.
So UCLA, what'd you major in?
I went for political science and philosophy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what were your favorite classes in college?
To be perfectly honest, I kind of had like a little bit of a different trajectory. I knew early on that I wanted to be a defense attorney, that I wanted to get into criminal defense. But while I was at UCLA, I kind of took advantage. I played trumpet as well. I used to play trumpet. So I did some ethnomusicology, some jazz classes. So I would say those were my favorite, if I had to be perfectly honest.
Nice.
I had, and maybe we had the same class, that one professor, he was African-American, like kind of old. And this guy was amazing. Like it was ethno something, but it was, the class,
Yeah.
ethnomusicology, I don't know, whatever. But it was amazing because he had played with Dizzy Gillespie
Yeah.
and Louis Armstrong
Wow.
and all these guys, And so when he was telling stories, it was like first person type of thing,
For sure. And like UCLA definitely has an incredible music program, incredible ethnomusicology program. So I played in the Latin jazz band for about a year or two.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. It was a good way to balance out my classes and still get to do what I enjoyed. At the same time, in the summers, I would march with drum corps, so I still got to play my trumpet. But then I started veering more towards making sure that I was focusing on my classes to get to law school.
Nice.
But I can't remember specifically which classes would have been my favorite.
Right,
I
right.
might have been having a little bit too much fun at UCLA.
No, and that's good. I mean, I think college is a place where we all have fun, right, Vineet?
Yeah, absolutely. How did you get into jazz? That's like kind of a unique musical genre for people of a certain age. And I went through a little jazz phase when I was like a big fan.
Jazz is cool.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
But how did you get into that?
I definitely have to credit that to my dad. Growing up, he would always bring us to jazz at the Wadsworth Theater, which is how I also got to become familiar with UCLA. So I believe back then, every first Sunday of the month, they had a free jazz concert. So my dad would put my brother and I in the car and bring us out here. Excuse me. I was pretty young, maybe 5, 6, 7 years old. So that would have been my first introduction to it.
That's
and
cool.
Then,
That is cool.
And then in elementary school, we did have a music program. So I knew I wanted to play music. So I started playing trumpet
Nice.
and just continued.
Was La Puente part of LAUSD?
No.
No.
Excuse me. We're part of Roland Unified School District.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I remember, so I went to LAUSD schools, and the kids that were in the band or that played instruments, they carried around these like big black
Cases.
I don't know if it was like that in Europe,
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
And it had like huge letters of the school district or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
They would stamp the outside.
Yes,
So yes, definitely.
yes.
Thankfully for us, the school provided the instruments because renting instruments is pretty expensive, and not
Sure.
everybody has the means. So I was able to have a rented instrument from the school district. The only thing was that, to be perfectly honest, I didn't have my first choice at instrument. I think when I wanted to start in the band, I wanted to start playing flute or something girly, but that wasn't available. So the teacher was like, well, what we have is a lot of trumpets. They're one of the less expensive instruments, I think, so they're more readily available. And so if I wanted to be in the band, that would have been my only choice. So I was like, sure, I'll play trumpet.
Nice.
And I continued it well into my 20s. So I think I
It
liked
worked out,
it.
right?
Yeah, I think it did.
Yeah.
So you said that you knew that you wanted to go to law school kind of early on.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
And she knew that she wanted to do criminal defense early on. It's pretty specific.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I was about 15 years old, my brother got into trouble. So he started, with juvenile detention centers. He went to juvie, and then he picked up a more serious case that required, or that my parents wanted to get an attorney for. Excuse me. And so that experience, to me, having my brother go through the judicial system, and not just my brother, but other family members as well. Growing up in La Puente, there's other people that I knew, friends, et cetera, that also went through the system. So I think that experience is what made me want to become a criminal defense attorney.
Yeah.
So,
Seeing the effect it had on your family probably too, right? Your
Oh,
mom
yeah.
and your dad and how they had to deal with it and navigate the system.
yeah. It was very daunting for them, very challenging for them. So we did not, well, they did. I didn't. They hired an attorney who was able to help them navigate all that.
And what was their experience with that attorney?
What do you mean?
As in, did they have a positive experience with that criminal defense attorney?
Oh, yeah. I actually ended up working for him after all.
Wow.
That's great.
That's cool.
How serious were the charges? And obviously we don't have to get into details if you don't
Sure.
feel comfortable, but the more details you can give, the more it'll kind of...
Sure.
Was it serious things your brother was going through? Was it? Sounds like it.
Yeah, so back then, he was, I believe, 16 or 17 when he got picked up, when he was charged. And back then, I don't know if you guys remember, they had something called fitness hearings to see whether a juvenile or a minor would be charged as an adult.
Okay.
They're different now. They're called something different, and they've changed since the law has changed. But because he was 17, he was charged with a carjacking and assault with a deadly weapon.
Okay.
And because he was on the cusp, they had what was called a fitness hearing to determine whether he was going to stay in the juvenile justice system, which would have completely altered, the punishment, et cetera, or whether he was going to go to adult court. And so we hired the attorney. Unfortunately, he was found fit as an adult, so he was tried in adult court, which meant that the punishment, et cetera, sent him to state prison. But
Big difference, huh?
Huge difference,
yeah.
yeah. And for someone who's 17, that can definitely make a huge difference in how your life is going to go. So, but I am thankful that we had that attorney to guide us through everything and help as much as he can. And like I said, after that happened, unfortunately, my brother did go to state prison. He was he took a plea deal for 8 years. And so I, started visiting him in prison, got to see that whole side of it. But when I was now, I think, 16 years old, now having known that I wanted to be an attorney, I wanted to help people, I wanted to do kind of the same thing that he did, help people navigate these challenging times. My high school had a certificate program of some sorts, but it was new to the school. We didn't really have that many resources at Nogales High School. So one of the things that this certificate program did was offer an internship, except we kind of had to go find our own internship. And so the only attorney that we knew at the time was the attorney that had represented my brother. And so I remember my dad calling him up and, saying, my daughter needs an internship. Are you willing to take her? And one of the only questions that he asked was like, well, do I need to pay her? And when my dad said no, he's like, well, bring her on down.
Sign her up.
Yeah, sign her up. So off I went.
She can start tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what happened. I was in high school. I think I was a junior or senior. No, it would have been a senior year. My dad worked downtown, so 2 or 3 times a week, probably 2. Jump in the car with him. He'd drop me off. They had an office off Wilshire in Vermont. I'd work my 8-hour days, and then he'd pick me up and take me back home. And that was the beginning of that relationship that I still have until this day with those attorneys.
That's a great introduction, not just to law, but I think to just kind of a little sneak peek into adulthood, because you're there 8 hours.
Yeah.
That's like no joke.
In an office with adults seeing actual
and you
work.
have to act a certain way, right? Because when you're in school, you say things, you act a certain way. But when you're, and probably maybe a little bit, maybe a generation ago, things were even more serious in an office setting, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was a job. That was part of the certificate program, was to prepare us for the real world. So I treated it very seriously. I was very proud of that internship. I dressed up as best as I could. I think my mom took me to Ross and got me my first little suit. I was excited. Nice. And thankfully, the attorneys there treated me as a regular employee. I think one of my first days there, I remember this attorney took me, we rode the train into CCB, and he had a sentencing on, so I sat through a sentencing. He introduced me to everybody, which was also very, for a 16, 17-year-old girl who's like wanting to be an attorney, I'm meeting judges for the first time, or,
That's cool.
They're paying
That's
attention
awesome.
to me. Yeah, this is Vanessa Rodriguez. She wants to be an attorney. Like, oh, welcome. So it was a really, really cool experience. Yeah. But, I mean, shortly thereafter, I was doing work. I was riding the train by myself to go file things for them. I was picking things up in various places. And that internship turned into a summer job where I actually got paid.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And,
nice.
I think that, I don't know how it is now, but I do think that when I was growing up and in high school, there weren't enough of those type of programs. You'll see those type of programs in better private schools, that they have those. It's like automatic that you have to work somewhere like that. But those things are good because, what you said was you guys didn't know any other attorney. That was the only attorney. And honestly, in a lot of neighborhoods here in LA, people don't know attorneys. Like I didn't, growing up, we didn't know anybody who's an attorney or a professional or a dentist or a doctor or anything like that. So to be exposed like that is great.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And just to piggyback off what you said, this certificate program that started in my high school, that was the beginning of it, and which is they weren't as well funded or well established as maybe other schools that would have had their own, Rolodex of attorneys ready, or different internships ready for students. Like, we literally had to go and find our own. And even my parents, the way they found that attorney specifically is, I think my brother's best friend's sister worked for him, and so it was friend of a friend, word.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm very thankful that despite, I guess, him even having represented my brother, he took a chance on me too. He was willing and open to take me in and give me the internship. But
that's great. And when you were at UCLA, did you live there on campus?
I did. So my first year, I definitely did the dorm experience.
Did you like it?
I did.
Where'd you stay at?
Sproul.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Okay,
oldest
cool.
one.
Yeah.
But it was only good for a year for me. After that, I wanted a little bit more independence, so I got a little studio apartment out there in Westwood.
In Westwood. Nice, nice.
And
nice.
my third and fourth year, I still stayed out there.
Okay, cool. And then, so after after undergrad, do you apply to law school right away, or do you take some time off?
No, I definitely took some time off. So I went back to work for the same attorneys for the same law office.
So did you work for him through undergrad, or did you
Yes, I did.
part-time or summers or?
Exactly, part-time in
Yeah.
summers. So winters, I'd fill in. When the other staff members were going on vacations, et cetera, I would come in 2 weeks at a time, 3 weeks at a time. In summers, for sure, if I wasn't studying abroad or marching with drum corps. So after I graduated from UCLA, I didn't want to go directly in. I didn't. I felt that I wanted to get a little bit more experience, figure things out, see if this was actually something that I wanted to do, or maybe it was just an excuse for me to take a break, But I worked for them full-time after that for about 3 years. Got more experience, saw some more things, traveled a bit more. But after about the 3 years, I think even they were telling me, like, all right, you got to
time.
go. It's
Yeah.
time to go.
Yeah.
It's time to do something.
We had one of our guests, I think it was the dean of the law school at UCLA, right? That we talked about this.
Yeah, going
About
straight through
going
or
straight, yeah.
taking time off.
I went straight through. I think, Vineet, you did the same. And obviously I'm biased because that's what I did, right? But I think that people that, I don't know, if I would have gone to work, I might have just gotten comfortable, right? And that's the kind of the trap.
For sure. No, absolutely. And I could see how that could easily happen. I was making money. At the time, didn't have that many loans. My little, the money that I had a little apartment on the west side. I was living in Venice, just doing the thing.
Not a bad life for like a
No.
22-year-old, 23-year-old, like good times.
Living the life,
Exactly,
yeah.
yeah.
Right?
But
Little change in your pocket.
Absolutely. And so I was having fun. I'm not going to lie. But I think what was, I guess, my saving grace, so to speak, was that I still worked for defense attorneys, right? And so I had them still encouraging me, and I was still in that world, seeing what could potentially be, and just knowing that, yeah, that is what I want to do. And thankfully, I had these mentors that were like pushing me and said, you got to go.
Nice. And so the next chapter, you go to law school. Where'd you go?
I went to Southwestern Law School.
Okay. And how was your experience there?
It was interesting, actually. I despite having been around criminal defense attorneys for a while, I still didn't know what to expect from law school. I didn't have any immediate family that had gone on to law school. I knew people that had gone, but I guess once you go for yourself, then you really experience it. So it was a good experience. I met one of my best friends on the first day of law school. So I was able to, I had a group going, but I didn't know what to expect. But it was good, and I think I took advantage of a lot of the programs that they had just to make law school feel more comfortable, I guess, or just help me navigate it too. I'm first generation. My parents are immigrants. I'm the first lawyer in the family, so there wasn't anyone that I can just speak to about the experience, like in a personal way, or that I would have shared an experience with, in that sense. So, but no, I found my group out there, so it made things easier.
Nice. Did you going back real quick to undergrad? Did you do the freshman summer program?
No, I didn't.
No, okay.
Yeah.
Do you know about that?
I do.
Okay, so it's like a little bridge program. I think they still do it.
FSP, right?
Yeah, FSP, right? Yeah, and it just bridges, kids that don't have, family members that have been in college before.
Yeah.
And I participated in that, and that really made a difference in undergrad.
Okay.
I definitely think something like that for law school would also be helpful for a lot of kids.
For sure. I don't know if you remember. I didn't do FSP at UCLA, but I did. It's called like AAP, the Academic Advancement Program,
right, yeah.
which is sort of similar.
Yes.
So I do remember that they did have like a day where we could bring our parents, and it was more geared towards families that were like, had first generation students, et cetera. So that was definitely helpful. But yeah, law schools. I mean, if we would have had that transition, week or so, that would have been
that helps
too.
out. Yeah. No, when your first year, it's insane, right? I mean,
It's very intense.
very intense.
And you're just thrown into it, and you don't
New
know.
language. I mean, essentially, it's a new language,
Yeah.
a new
Yeah.
way of thinking,
Yes.
everything. It's pretty intense.
Yes.
Hundreds of pages a night reading this case law, right? That's
Yeah.
like so obscure
Dense
and like
and-
dense and
yeah.
hard to understand.
Getting cold called, things that you weren't used to. And I had that 3-year break, so I hadn't been in an academic setting for a while.
Yeah.
So for me, that was, it was, getting like just kind of like tossed into it. But you got to do it, right?
Yeah.
Sink or swim.
Did you take any clinicals?
I did. So I did an immigration law clinic, but that one focused more on like juveniles.
Okay.
And then I did do an internship with the district attorney's office, I think. I didn't like it.
Why
But
not?
that would be it.
Is that on the other side of
Yeah.
what you preferred?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I did it at the time because back then that was the only way to get certified so that you can appear before the court.
Okay.
So, a lot of people suggested that that would be a good way to go. But, I mean, it was a good way for me to cement the fact that I wanted to be a defense attorney for sure, through and through.
Nice.
But I did, yes, the clinicals, going back to that, I did it was an immigration law clinic that helped families specifically get status for juveniles.
What did you think about the clinicals?
I thought they're great. I think everybody should do a clinical in law school.
We're big proponents as well.
Big time.
Yeah, it's a way to get actual experience. And one of the things that, I did have an advantage of is having taken those 3 years off and worked for defense attorneys. But not only that, having worked for them since I'm, 16, 17 years old, there was a lot of people in law school that I knew that hadn't worked for any sort of like legal field. So they didn't really know what the experience would be like. So these clinics are incredible ways for you to get that experience, help the community, but also get your feet wet in that.
Yeah.
We have a lot of our listeners are law school students or younger kids who are thinking about going to law school. So it's kind of why we try to focus on these and try to give them advice as to what they should do when they get there and what's helpful.
Yeah,
Right.
No, definitely. I mean, it might sound, it might sound like overwhelming, but I think it's very important. Like, join these clubs. Join like the Latino Lawyers Association, the Black Students Association, so that you can have community there. But also take advantage of the clinicals. Take advantage of the clinics, any externships that are going to get you before the court and giving you that real-time experience. If you want to be a writer, start doing like appellate work and things like that. So, I mean, if you look for it in law school, I think you will find these opportunities that are just going to help you later on in your career. And also, definitely, I'm a big proponent of take advantage of the study abroad programs. I didn't know that there was study abroad opportunities in law school, so I was super happy when
We didn't either.
We didn't either
Yeah.
until episode 2 or 3 or
We
something.
had
like that.
no
really?
idea you
Yes.
could do that in law
Yes.
school.
Yeah, I thought it was, an experience that was over with in undergrad.
Undergrad, yeah.
But when I get to law school, I see that they do have these programs, so I definitely took
Where'd you go?
advantage.
Yeah, where'd you go?
So my first study abroad program that I did was in Curacao. So I went to the Caribbean
Very cool.
over Christmas break.
Never heard of that. You always hear Europe
Nice.
No,
Yeah.
this was a lot
Nice.
or
of fun.
Latin America.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I mean,
it's-
Curacao is Latin America. No, it's Caribbean, right?
Caribbean.
It's Caribbean.
It's Caribbean.
Yeah.
They're Dutch Antilles, so they
Yes.
speak Dutch still, and
That's
the architecture is gorgeous. But that was a 3-week program during the winter here. So while everyone was, experiencing some cold, we were out there having fun in
nice.
Curacao.
Nice.
And then the other one that I did, I went to Argentina for a 6-week program. I went to Buenos Aires, and because of my language skills, I'm bilingual. I was able to actually work in one of their courthouses and experience that. It was a civil courthouse. It's a lot different. Lot different how they run.
It's
things out there.
incredible.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's super cool.
So that was a lot of fun. And then, of course, while I'm there, I took advantage and continued my travels throughout South America because I'm like,
Sure.
you got to
Well,
take
see,
advantage
had
of
we
that.
known that, we would have got Malbecs.
Some Malbec,
For
for sure.
Bubbles
today.
are good. 10 a.m. bubbles are good.
Yes. So Argentina was nice. huh?
Malbec and steak.
Yeah,
from
I know,
Argentina.
right?
Yeah, we should have done that. No, Argentina was great.
Yeah.
Buenos Aires is a great city. I also went in 2010 during the World Cup. So to see how
Very
they
nice.
completely shut down the entire city when Argentina is playing, I'm telling you, there's not a car in the streets. And at the time we were, working at the courthouse, they literally just stopped,
That's awesome.
And if somebody came needing help, they were angry at them, like, "What are you
What are you
doing? The
doing? What are you
game's
doing?
on.
Are you
The
kidding me
game's
right
on."
now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they have a different, culturally they're different. I don't think well, maybe a clerk would out here, but he was, I'm like, now that I think about it, maybe a clerk would. He was visibly angry, and he was, he showed that attorney like his anger for how dare he bother him during the game. But
that's awesome.
Yeah,
I could see clerks doing that.
I could see that too. Yeah.
Like I said, once I thought about it, I was like, no.
I think every attorney has like a clerk in mind that has been rude or mean to them.
Oh
right?
yeah,
at least one.
Yeah.
I have one that I still remember. Yeah. He would like 9 times out of 10 be like mad. This is when I first started practicing. I was doing family law, and he was just a jerk. And whenever he was semi-nice, I was like, oh my God, it's my lucky day, And by semi-nice, I mean just not super mean,
Yeah.
But clerks are a little,
He's the one you'd always forget your card when you went into his room.
The card.
And you had to get the thing and fill out your name.
That's why he was mad at him.
I'm sorry.
He's like,
fake lawyer.
Yeah, here comes this guy again. Gonna make me work more.
Please.
So that's great. Yeah, no, studying abroad is great. I think whether it's an undergrad or law school, it's such a great opportunity to see another part of the world that you normally wouldn't be able to. And you're a student, so I mean, there's not much responsibility that you have, and to just go
and being able to see their court system
while
you're in law school, that's like
awesome.
next level. I mean, that's very cool to see. So what is the Argentinian system based on?
So
it's not like an English system, right? Or is it?
No, I think they're trying to transition to it. I'm going to be horrible because I think, a lot of my time out in Argentina was spent sampling.
Drinking?
Yeah.
I was
Malbecs.
Yes,
Love a good
Malbecs.
Malbec.
But I did work in one of their civil courthouses because I believe they're one of the things that I learned is that they're one of the most litigious countries that we have. Mainly a lot lot of car accidents. So you guys would be doing good.
She was actually in a criminal courthouse. She was
just
drinking too much.
My experience
is
is completely
this civil?
clouded. So it's weird. So what I did is like in Spanish, despachaba. So the attorneys would come, they'd ask for their files, and everything is these big paper files. So I'd get it to them. And when they weren't jury trials, so the two sides, of the plaintiffs and defendants would literally just go and sit in the judge's chambers and try to work something out. Wow. And that was my limited experience. Again, I'm going to sound probably very ignorant. I'm sure there's more to it, but that was my role there. And then we did take classes, but that's what I remember from that.
Cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot more experience than almost anybody else has.
Yeah.
They have like little mini mediations with the judge.
It sounds like it, right? Little mediations.
And they'd get the files out. They'd have to personally scan them too because they couldn't take anything out of those files. And then based on that, set up their mediation directly with the judge. Oh. And sit and
you would be in that room as well?
No, they had me working. They're actually just pulling files and things like that. So I was with some younger Argentinian guys that were in school as well. So there was a lot of fun, like I got to meet a lot of people, practice my Spanish.
Yeah, that's good.
Take the bus. I was living in an apartment at the time, so take the bus to the courthouse, and that was my job. I did get to talk to the judge about, what it is that he did, and then and the evenings, 2 times a week, I would take classes with the professor on international relations.
That's cool.
Sounds awesome.
Great.
Yeah.
Great deal. So then you graduate, and then what?
Now, did you think about going back to work for full-time for the criminal defense lawyer that you...
So I initially, yes, I did, but he became a judge. Actually, 2 of the attorneys that I worked for became judges. Wow. So the firm or the group itself started having changes. So when I graduated and passed the bar, I did have to take it twice. No shame in my game. When I finally, when I did pass the bar the second time, they were already judges, so that wasn't too much of an option. And unfortunately, when I came out of that, the public defender's office for LA County was in a hiring freeze. I don't know if you guys remember back then.
Yeah.
Sort of remember that. What year? So what years are we talking?
2013.
Okay.
Yeah. So and that was after some financial crisis. So the county was like in a hiring freeze. So the public defender's office wasn't taking any applications. So what I started doing is I just I had to hustle. I started making appearances for other criminal defense attorneys. I still wanted to stay within the criminal defense world. So luckily for me, because of some of the networking that I've done, throughout law school, et cetera, like I knew different defense attorneys. So I just reached out to them and said, hey, I'm doing appearances. So if you need anything, hit me up. So I started working doing that. That's how I actually met your friend Miguel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. So tell us a little bit, just for the audience that don't know what appearances are.
Sure. So when attorneys appearances are basically hearings in court, and sometimes private defense attorneys have so many hearings on a single day that they obviously can't make them. They can't make them all. So they will outsource some of the work to different attorneys so they can appear before the court for them. And that's basically what it is. You would charge a certain amount to go and take care of these hearings for these attorneys. You wouldn't take over the case itself. It's just pretty much sometimes a one and done deal. But you help these attorneys, with their caseload while still remaining in the criminal courts.
Yeah.
So they fill you in on what's going on in the case and what you need to do for that day. You go in and do it. And that's it.
And that's it. Yeah, and actually, let me back up, because one of the attorneys that I did work for, he actually did start giving me some of my first appearance work. His name was Mr. McKinney. He's passed away now, but he gave me some of my first appearances. And just the reason why I'm kind of smiling is that typically some attorneys would give you details about what it is that you have to do, et cetera. But Mr. McKinney had a way of maybe sometimes forgetting that. So you went in there, coldly, not really knowing what's going on. But I mean, to me, that was just a really good way to learn.
Yeah.
Get on my feet and
Figure it out.
Yeah,
Nice.
figure it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those were fun times.
I like the respect that you still address him as
Mr. McKinney.
Yeah. So,
Oh yeah, he's one of my favorite people, and he gave me a lot of opportunities.
Yeah.
And he was at my swearing in, and
Cool.
yeah.
That's good. That's old school.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't do that anymore.
Yeah. So then you did appearances for a couple years, a year?
I did appearances for a couple years, and then I got, again, just networking and stuff, I got linked up with this other firm that was mainly doing immigration, but they would also dabble in criminal defense. So I started doing appearances for them. But after a while, they said, hey, we need somebody more full-time. Are you willing to do it? So I did. I signed on with them for a few years. Like I said, they did do more immigration stuff, so I got to learn that aspect of it. Again, it wasn't necessarily what my long-term career goal was, but I think it was a good thing to learn. I started appearing in immigration court that I hadn't done before. I got to travel to appear in immigration courts throughout the United States. One of my favorite ones was appearing in New Orleans, because I got to travel around a little bit. But so I worked for them for about 2 years, I want to say, but that itch to go back to criminal defense was there, and more specifically to be a public defender. So after a few years of working with them, we did start taking on more criminal cases since I started working for them. I got a few trials out. I linked back up with some of my old mentors so that I was able to, do these criminal trials. But there was still that part of me that said, no, I want to be a public defender. That's what I wanted to do for a while. So I applied to Los Angeles. I wasn't hired, but San Bernardino County was hiring, so I applied there. And in 2018, I became a public defender for the San Bernardino County.
Nice. And you were there for how long?
I was in San Bernardino from 2018 to the end of 2020. So I went through the pandemic there, which was very interesting, really interesting way to practice.
Yeah, I'm sure, right? A bunch of plastic coverings everywhere.
Yeah, and San Bernardino was one of those counties that kind of wanted to get back into normal times, I guess you can say, fairly quickly.
Not surprised.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It tracks with them.
Yeah.
So
Masks. You don't need masks.
Come on.
oh
Yeah.
man, those jury panels, those jurors were very interesting. So they picked up quickly. Compared to different counties, and started doing trials again, still trying to do social distancing. But I remember specifically one of the potential jurors in one of my cases had a mask that said, "Worn by force, not by fear."
Like on the outside?
On the outside, as he's sitting there to be questioned.
Wow.
You're like, ding.
Yeah, exactly. Your Honor.
We're good.
Yeah.
So everybody thinks. Tell us more about starting as a public defender, right? Because everybody thinks about public defenders as getting. You have 200 files on your desk, and you get 10 minutes with each case, and you got to go. Is it like that? I mean, what is it really like when you start?
So when you start, at least in my experience was a little backward too, because they put me in their juvenile section first. I guess based on my experience, they thought that I'd be more interested in that, which I was. It was interesting. But so part of what you're saying is true, right? They do have a 2-week training program where you go, at least in San Bernardino, you go and they train you, they trial skills, et cetera. But after those 2 weeks, like you are given your caseload. But contrary to belief, you have an incredible support system there. You have attorneys that have been practicing way longer than you have, who are experienced and who are willing to help you out. But you are expected to get out there and do it. So it's one of the best ways to get your training wheels off and become a real attorney. The caseload was somewhat, I wouldn't say it was heavy, but I definitely had cases. But with that support system, it made the transition was easy, and I was able to catch on quickly and learn, areas of the law that I normally wouldn't have learned, which is juvenile. But I remember when I made my transition from juvenile to adult, that is kind of more of the experience that you're talking about. I get there, and I think my supervisor was on vacation at the time. He's like, I'm so sorry, you can't do this, but so-and-so is doing a trial. Why don't you just hop on and do the trial with her, And so I did. And again, you got to be fearless.
Second chaired it?
Yeah, just second chaired it. This is an attorney that I have a lot of respect for still, where, we're still very good friends. She's an incredible attorney. But I second chaired it with her just out of the blue, got the file, got familiar with it. I can't remember if I did some of the examinations at the time, but, you just jump in and do it. But again, you've got support there.
Yeah.
And, but you've got to, you got to be willing and able to do it. You just got to be fearless. But the caseloads are, you have a bit of a heavy caseload, but it's manageable, and you can do it.
There's a stigma, and I think everybody knows about it. It's like if you have a public defender, you're like, oh man, I'm screwed, right?
Good luck.
Right.
And we know public defenders, and they're all really very competent people,
Really sharp
very sharp,
and really passionate.
Passionate.
They really care about what they do.
And sharp because they're in court all the time, so
All
they're
the
getting
time.
the reps in day in, day out, right?
Yeah.
So where does the stigma really come from?
I've been trying to figure that out myself too, because the attorneys that I work with now, they are some of the most, incredible, hardworking people that I know, and like you said, passionate. But I think that maybe, these public pretender, terms come out because you got to realize, some of our
I've never heard that
Never
before.
heard that one.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an insult that a lot of
That
our
sucks.
clients will use
Yeah.
against us. But I think it's, you got to think that we're dealing with people who are having, some of the worst days of their lives.
Sure.
And trying to navigate that. So they're frustrated. Our job, yes, because of the volume, sometimes maybe doesn't afford us the ability to sit down and give everybody all the time that they need, but we do get to them. So maybe that's where some of the frustration comes, and where some of the, the stigma comes.
Yeah.
And I mean, with anything, there are good public defenders, there's some bad public defenders.
Sure.
There are some that are probably jaded and
Tired.
should
Yeah.
have considered a job change a while ago, but that's the same for every profession, right? Even in
Yeah.
the private defense world. I worked with private defense attorneys. I can probably point to a handful that probably should reconsider what they're doing because they're not doing their clients justice anymore. But that's maybe where I would imagine the stigma comes from, just, people's frustrations and wanting to get results faster than they can.
Sure. And it wouldn't necessarily be that much different with a private attorney, in my opinion.
Right. I mean, I think one of the only difference that I knew working private defense is you do, you maybe can handhold a little bit more, families especially, they're calling, you're able to give them a little bit more time. But at the end of the day,
But is it really moving the needle in terms
Right.
of the case, right? I mean, yeah, you give time to the family, but that's not what's going to win the case,
Right.
for sure.
And then private attorneys don't get to go to court as much as public defenders.
Yeah, they're not getting all those reps.
No, they're not.
Yeah, which I think would for somebody starting out, or even in general, if this is where you're going to get the experience, this is where you're going to be in court every day, this is where you're going to get your trials, you're going to get your trial experience. So I'm very thankful. I love being a public defender. I love my office. I love what I do still.
So you are not with San Bernardino anymore.
No. So at the end of 2020 or during the pandemic, I applied to the alternate public defender's office. And I applied back when I thought that pandemic was still going to be like a 2-week thing and we're just all going to get back to normal.
Yeah.
Right.
Right? Joke's on me, joke's on all of us. But so I didn't hear back until like very like later on in that year. And I got an interview, but I knew I wanted to. I love San Bernardino. Like, no shade on them. It's a great office to work for, great attorneys. They're doing incredible work out there. But LA to me is home. So I knew I wanted to be back home. I knew I wanted to give to these communities. I wanted to work with these communities. So I applied to the alternate public defender's office, and I was hired at the end of 2020. And I've been with the alternate public defender's office now since January 2021.
And why alternate?
Yeah, explain what that means.
So the alternate public defender's office, so in LA we have, the public defender's office. But when they have a conflict, whether it's because there's, multiple defendants in a case or, that's usually the case, multiple defendants in a case, there's a conflict. So they call our office. So we are separate from the public defender's office. We're a different entity, which is why we're able to take those cases. And if there's still yet another defendant on the case, another client, then they would call like the bar panel or have a private attorney come in.
And but it's still funded by the state.
Yes.
Right?
Oh yeah. It's still funded. We're county employees, so we're still funded by them, but we're just a separate office.
So you guys still handle the same types of cases
Oh, yeah.
and all the same stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And just as busy, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah. So we are a smaller office, but our caseloads are still, we carry pretty serious cases. We're in court every day.
Yeah. And what office do you go to?
I'm in Compton.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in the Compton courthouse. I've been there. This is my second rotation. I was there for my misdemeanor rotation, so I was able to get a lot of experience then, took out some trials. I went back to downtown, but now I'm in Compton. I've been there since July.
How do you like it?
I love Compton. I really do love Compton. The judges there, I think, they're good judges. The staff is great. My personal office, the alternate public defender's office there they're some of my favorite people. Nice. These are warriors. It's good. If I'm going to be in the trenches with somebody, I'm glad it's them.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so, tell us about some cases, without, I don't know, going into too much detail if you don't want, but some cases that you think stand out in terms of what you've handled.
Interesting, exciting, or just from you got a great result. You put a lot of work into it, something,
Let me think. Well, I'll go back even to like my San Bernardino days because they're my first, misdemeanor trial ever. It was one of those where my supervisor called me on a Friday afternoon. I think I was already home, and he's like, "Hey, we have this case that's going to trial on Monday." He's like, "You don't have to take it. It's pretty." He called it a dead bang loser, and I was like, "You know what? Yeah,
dead bang loser.
Yeah, dead bang loser. So it's low risk. No, we're good. You don't have to worry about anything." And I was like, yeah, again, it's
even better, right? Sorry, real quick, because then there's not the pressure. They're like, all right, well, look, I'm going to give it my best shot, and
I'm expected to lose.
Yes.
Right.
So if I lose, no worries.
No worries. Yeah.
And of course, I was still absolutely nervous, but I can't say no. This is what I signed up for. This is time to buck up and do this. And I wanted to be a defense attorney. I want to be a trial attorney. This is it. And so, I meet the client on Monday. He's a great client. Charges were just simple battery.
Real quick, Friday to Monday, were you like, what? Did you do anything different that weekend?
I definitely looked over all the discovery that he sent me.
Okay.
I'm head in the file.
Got it.
Trying
getting a little zoned in.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Getting zoned in. Met the client on Monday. Awesome guy. Just super chill, but he just put all his trust and faith in me. He was like, yeah, whatever you do, whatever you want to do, we'll do it. And so we did the trial, and that dead bang loser, I ended up getting a 15-minute not guilty verdict. So
15 minutes.
15 minutes. I think I went back to the office. I hadn't even taken off my jacket, and they were like, you have a verdict. So
was that a juvenile case or an adult case?
No, that was an adult case.
And what was
battery?
Battery. Okay.
Yeah, battery charge. So again, still a misdemeanor, but this was a client that wasn't going to take any deal. He said, I didn't do it.
Were there any witnesses?
There was a complaining witness that was, he came and testified, but he came and testified, the officers testified, but my client insisted that he didn't do it, and he had, I think I threw him on the stand. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I think I did. And so he told his story, and the jury believed him.
Wow. And
Which is somewhat rare, right?
Yeah.
Putting the defendant on the stand.
It's-
Isn't that something that you
yeah.
guys generally don't do? Or
It depends on the circumstances, but
Yeah.
yeah, it can be extremely tricky, getting somebody to get up there and testify for, a number of reasons. They're nervous, or they've got, criminal histories that are going to come up if they testify.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the time you don't, your client can go rogue. That's one of the scariest
they go
things.
rogue,
Yeah.
or it just opens the door to a lot more questioning on the other side, right?
For sure. For sure.
I was on a panel last year, and I was a foreperson.
Okay.
It was a misdemeanor felony. I don't know, felony. I don't know, one of those. Anyways, like when you're in the jury box, you're so close to the action, that any witness that goes up to the stand, you're just like, I mean, you have so much time that, you're listening to what they're saying, but you're also judging them on every single little thing. And that gets all said and discussed in the deliberation room, So it's quite a risk, right? Because,
Sure.
maybe your client is credible, but I don't know, maybe they just don't like the way he's dressed, right? I mean, they make decisions on dumb things.
I've always wanted to be a fly in the wall of a jury deliberation room to really know what it is that they focus on. But I mean, we believe that those are some of the things that they do.
No, they
focus
are.
on,
I mean,
right?
trust me,
Yeah.
they were so pissed that the defendant was kind of smirking when a couple things were said, and it's just like, I mean, that's not evidence. You're not supposed to pay attention to that.
Right.
They were judging him on the color of his skin. The majority of them were Latino in the deliberation room. And then they start going about their own experiences with people of that race. And it's just like serious.
All the things that they promised they wouldn't do, right?
That's right.
Because they
Yeah,
do.
that's right.
We try to voir dire on that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they all promise and promise.
And, I'm an attorney. There was another attorney there, and we're trying to steer it back.
Right.
But,
What are the facts? What's the evidence?
You also have to let these people talk because they want to feel heard too, right? And you can't just seem like, hey, you're
You
what
can't
you have
say
to say.
that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't, but they're still going to do it.
They're going to be
so,
mad. Yeah. That's interesting.
So, and did that client have priors?
Yeah, he did have, from what I remember, again, this is a while ago, he had old priors, so it wasn't necessarily anything that precluded him from testifying. But, once juries hear things of that nature, they tend to, look.
Start making assumptions.
Right, make
Sure.
negative assumptions about
Yeah.
clients, but not in this one.
Wow.
So.
Wow. And so, what's the longest trial you've had?
So far, I think it was about a 10-day trial, so like a little bit over 2 weeks. Yeah.
And how many trials have you done total?
I want to say I'm at 15 or 16 since I started with both public defender's office and with some from before.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. And what do you see yourself working at the public defender's office for a while, going on your own?
Yeah, right now, I do see myself staying with the public defender's office, the alternate public defender's office. I'm super happy where I'm at. I still want to get like my trial experience up. I want to get, I'm doing heavier cases now, so I want to continue that trajectory. And I'm just, overall really happy where I'm at. Now, is this something that I'm not going to revisit years down the line? No, absolutely, I will. I think it's important for everybody to every now and then assess where they're at, and see, is this still what I want to do?
Yep.
Because if I start to feel burnt out or anything like that, and continue working in the job that I'm doing, I think I'm doing a disservice to my clients and to myself.
To yourself, importantly.
To myself.
You have to be in a good space to be able to show up for your clients.
Absolutely. And being a trial attorney, it's like they've always said it's a young man's game, and I can see why it is that they say that. Like, trial is taxing.
Young woman's game.
Young woman's game,
woman's game, yeah.
Young person's game.
Yeah.
It's taxing, it's tiring. These cases are emotionally draining sometimes. You carry on a lot of weight.
And you have to be focused. I mean, you
sure.
know what I mean? Like, during the 10-day trial, there's not much else that is like filtering in your life.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
there's not much, you know, just eating, you know,
If
catching up.
that.
Yeah.
If
Catching up a
that.
little bit with your friends, like in the hallway. That's it.
Yeah.
And then boom, back to it.
But yeah, trial, like it just takes over your life for that amount of time. Like you eat, breathe, live it. Like you dream about it. Like I don't want to dream about these trials, but I do. But it's because I think the reason that happens, at least in my experience, and I know colleagues of mine, is, you know, we care about our clients. We care about the outcome of these cases, even on these supposed dead bang loser cases. We care about what happens to our clients. We want to make sure that they get their day in court and they get the representation that they deserve and are entitled to. So it can take a big toll on you.
So I have a couple of questions about that.
Sure.
So first, speak to how much heavy cases you said. So I'm assuming that's like a murder case, right? A rape case or
Yes.
some heavy stuff you're dealing with, right?
Yeah.
So speak to how intense that is, right? Representing somebody on a murder charge, how much you care about that client, how you're able to separate how into it you are with how you need to be rationally and logically, right, to represent him the best. And then also the question that everybody always wants us to ask public defenders, right? You know, how do you feel about potentially representing a guilty person? Why do you do it, and why do they need that representation?
Sure. So I think I'll start with that question first, because I think, at least from my perspective, it's not so much about, you know, representing or how can you represent a guilty person, right? It's really about, for us, representing some of the people that are most marginalized in our community, some of the people that are often looked over by the judicial system or by our criminal justice system. And so regardless of whether, you know, they come in guilt or not, they deserve effective representation. It's guaranteed under the Constitution. So the way that sometimes, you know, we see it is that we are defending the Constitution. Whether you're guilty or not, that's what's important, because all of us, if we wouldn't do that job, all of us would then be affected, right? It affects your rights, it affects my
Because we're all
rights.
guaranteed that right.
Yeah.
Every
Exactly.
single person, right?
Yes. So whether or not they're guilty, they are entitled to our representation. And so then how to, like, I guess, if we do have a client that where the evidence is just stacked against them, it's just making sure that the government at that point is not overreaching and making sure that they are protected. It's from government intrusion, whether it's police officers, whether it's, you know, even the DAs themselves overcharging, et cetera. There's a lot of things that go into it that we can take up the sword against to protect our clients. So let me think. What else was your question? I'm
Just
losing it.
how, so when you're in like an intense murder trial, how, you know, what do you do personally to kind of maintain your calm and your peace and not getting too wrapped up in it so you can still properly,
Sure.
you know,
Sure. So I mean,
not get too stressed out, right?
oh, I mean,
If that's
possible.
possible.
yeah, right.
Yeah, because it's like such an intense thing you're doing. Like, what do you do to kind of deal with that?
Yeah. So luckily, again, for me, because I do work for the alternate public defender's office, I have my colleagues that I can definitely lean on and run these cases by them, run the facts of our case. You know, we can talk these things out. Talking them out, I think, really helps to kind of, when you first get a case, for example, that might just seem completely overwhelming. You know, you talk it out, and then it starts to fall into place. You know, you start to see where the defensible areas are. You know, you start to really like break it down. Be like, all right, this is my game plan. This is what I have to do. Even if it's some of the most, you know, horrific facts that you've seen, you still got to look for where it is that you're gonna, you know, where your plan of attack is. And so once you break it down into those parts, I think it gets a little bit easier then to continue, you know, to move forward with it. You break it down, it's not as overwhelming, and you're able to then work on the pieces that you need to.
So being able to collaborate really helps deal with it,
Yeah.
right?
Collaborating.
Round table.
Yeah,
Yeah.
round tables. I think those are extremely important, just to get another person's perspective.
Sure.
Even if it is to like tell you that, you know, this case that you think like, I got something on it, they'll be like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
This is a horrible case.
Because they can see it from a different
Yeah.
angle, right? That maybe you didn't
Right.
see.
Which is important.
Yeah, it grounds you, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that's very important. Like breaking it down into its parts. Like when you first get it and you got a file this big, or they're handing you a hard drive that has 200 videos of, you know, surveillance, and your client is like seen doing whatever it is that they're accusing of him on from different angles, you know. Yeah, it's like, well, But talking it
This
through.
is going to be a tough one.
Exactly. But talking it through and like, you'll be surprised how as things goes on, like you find little nuggets.
Or you play the Shaggy song, It Wasn't Me.
It wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
And sometimes that's the only defense that you have, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so,
It's interesting.
have you caught cops lying on the stand?
All the time.
All the time. I
All
knew that was
the
gonna. I
time.
knew that was gonna happen.
I mean, the bigger question is like, everybody lies. People lie, or they exaggerate, or they omit. So it's, different. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are the punishments if you catch a cop lying? Is there any punishment to them?
Not that I know of.
I mean, what? And that doesn't sound right, right?
It doesn't sound right.
Yeah. No, not specifically, other than potentially. Yeah. No. I think they have their own system, but I can't really speak on to how they, address those concerns.
Do you guys have like an antagonistic relationship with the DA and the cops, or is it cooperative?
Maybe the cops.
Or you guys?
No.
No, I would say like I get along with a lot of DAs in Compton. I do.
Yeah.
We all understand that we're working. We're working.
You have a job to do.
We all have jobs.
And you're in the
to do,
same
right?
system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Am I going to say that it doesn't become antagonistic? No. There's times that it does, and it's those times where cops too. I don't know them when they're on the stand, but if they start lying or like omitting, then it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Now you've turned it on. Now I gotta.
Yeah.
Like, go hard.
I gotta go hard. And we
Yeah.
didn't have to do this. We didn't have to get to that point. Right?
Didn't have to get
All
there,
you
right?
had to do was say
Yeah.
the truth.
I know. Yeah.
Make my job harder, right?
Yeah.
But when they start doing like lying or omitting, like that, now you finally gave us something to go on.
And the unfortunate part is that jurors, are just people from the community,
Mm-hmm.
and as much as there's, especially here in LA, there's probably a certain attitude towards the cops. When you see as a person from the community, a cop take the stand, you almost, take that person's testimony like as true without question, right? And that's why it's
a very
unfortunate.
strong testimony,
It's very
right?
strong, right?
Yeah.
Even though the judge is going to give you instructions as a juror
Right.
saying, hey, it's your job to determine what's true or not, right? But it's unfortunate, right, that they lie, as much as they do. And I'm saying this from my conversations with other attorneys that do criminal defense as well, because it almost seems like jurors are just so deferential to their testimony,
Yeah, I can see that. And it's funny because when you do you voir dire on that specifically, like, will you give an officer more credibility just based on the fact that he's an officer? And they're like, no. Well, I can be fair to everybody. I'll start them on the same playing field. But I do feel that in situations where it's obvious that they are, and this goes for any witness, but more specifically an officer of the law, I think that it angers them when they see an officer lying for no reason, or reasons that might not matter. I don't know why it is that someone would, but I do believe that some jurors, like, it does bother them, like.
Yeah, and it should.
And they
Look,
punish,
whether
course it
it's a
should.
cop or whether it's anybody. I mean, somebody's freedom is on the line, and you're not saying the truth.
Right, yeah, and witnesses, they'll do that all the time. And in situations that are, like, very minute, like, you didn't have to lie about that, but now you did, and
then now, what else is a lie, right?
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, that's it's interesting. So, as we start to kind of wrap up on this, what advice would you give to young lawyers, young Latina lawyers, aspiring law school students?
Yeah, I think my first piece of advice is to really take advantage of all the networking opportunities that you have. I know groups like
Great advice.
Yeah, Latino Lawyers Bar Association. I'm a member of the Latino Lawyers Bar Association. I know they have a lot of programs that are open to law schools. So go to them. Don't be afraid to go to them. It could feel daunting. I know that when I was a law student, I was like, is this really for me? But no, it is. And you'd be surprised how many attorneys are willing to take you under your wing. For the criminal defense side of it, I'm on the board of the Criminal Courts Bar Association, and our organization actually has a law student membership. Our events are open to law students, and it's a great way to get there and meet a bunch of defense attorneys. And again, you'd be surprised just how many are willing to help you out, give you advice, take you under their wing, maybe even hire you. You never know. So
Sure.
just because you're a law student, don't be afraid to get out there, get your name out there, and learn.
And what's the name of that group again?
My group is the Criminal Courts Bar Association.
And I think we're sponsoring them now, or we're going to.
That's the hope, yeah.
Right? I think so.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
We're going to.
Yeah, we are.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, well, we
We were
have
going to tell you today.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're telling you.
great. Yay.
Yes.
Yay. Yeah, well, we have our gala coming up. It's going to be a really fun event. But like I said, we have law student memberships. We have them volunteer. And so it's a good way to get in there. And, I was a young attorney. I joined the organization. They really... I met a lot of people. I was a young pup and I was able to learn so much from them. So that would be my first piece of advice. Like, may not seem like it's necessary or important, but networking, especially in a community
totally
like Los Angeles, is super important. And then don't be...
Let me just stop you right there. And I think we talk about this almost on every episode. The power of networking is so important. You got your first job or your feet wet from power of networking, right?
Sure.
I mean, you were
Absolutely.
interning, and then you stayed in touch with them,
Yes.
and then you'd go back during your breaks and all that stuff. Same thing with me. Same thing with Vineet. Our first jobs in after law school, were because we knew somebody from before, and they,
All connections.
yeah, it's all
Yeah.
All connection based.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally.
Everybody, like the legal community in LA, it's a huge city, but you'd be surprised.
Small
like,
world.
It's a small world.
Yes.
Everybody knows everybody. The way I got to know Miguel and then
Yeah.
got to meet you guys, like, it's all connected. So yeah, going back to your question, like young lawyers, young Latina lawyers, like, find us. We are out there. There is representation in the community, and we are willing to, extend our knowledge or help somebody. Because I think, especially for Latina women, we need more representation in the legal
Yeah, we do.
community. It's incredibly sad what our numbers is. I think they said 3% of the
3%,
attorneys
right?
in California, are
It's something
Or
that like
6. I thought it was 3. Yeah.
it was
3.
shockingly low
Yeah.
when we heard it. I
Yeah.
remember we
We
heard it
heard
and we were
the
like,
California
Ooh.
Chief Justice, what's her name?
Patricia Guerrero.
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah.
She gave a keynote at UCLA, and it was like, 3%.
Yeah.
Insane.
For sure, yeah.
Insane.
We were shocked by that number.
Yeah, and it's up from 2%. So like, we're making strides, but so that
50% progress.
right. Yeah, we're getting there. So yeah, just get out there.
Yeah.
There's women who are more than willing to share their experiences and help you become part of this legal community. And just, I think the main thing is, like, don't be afraid. You can't be afraid in this profession. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there, and you'll get what
That's great
you'll get what you
advice.
put out.
That's
That
great
is.
advice. I think a lot of times people hesitate to go to these events because they don't know anybody, and
Sure.
they're just, who am I gonna talk to? But
Yeah.
just go up and say hi to anybody. And I know a lot of these events also have people that will just go and say hi to people that are there by themselves. And
Yeah.
I've never been to an event that hasn't been welcoming.
For sure, yeah.
You just got to put yourself out
You
there.
do.
The hardest part is
And,
getting there.
and it'll work. It
Like
will
she said,
work.
you have to be fearless.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's very important.
But
Yeah.
I think the hardest part is just getting there, right? And once you're there, you're like, whoa, all these people are actually really cool and welcoming and open.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So now some quick questions.
Sure.
Favorite types of food?
I love Thai food.
Okay.
Yeah, I love Thai food. I love sushi.
What's the best Thai food in LA?
Jit Lada in North Hollywood. I think it's
I've heard of that.
Yeah,
I've heard of that
it's
too. Yeah, I've
heard of that.
incredible. You guys have to get
I've
out
heard
there.
of that.
It's in Thai Town,
Yeah.
so northeast Hollywood, I believe it is. But Jit Lada.
Yeah. It's like a little strip mall, right?
It's
Yeah.
and so that means if it's in a strip mall, it's going to be a good restaurant.
Yes.
Yeah.
What about sushi?
My favorite sushi place, Sushi Gen in Little Tokyo.
Okay.
Yeah, just
Nice. I
very
think we've been there.
It's a famous one. Yeah.
yeah,
we've been there.
stripped
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
But I also like the other,
Yeah.
like, I like a specialty roll. Like, I'm not going to, Sushi Gen is like really good quality,
Yeah.
traditional kind of sushi, but I'm never going to say no to a roll.
Nice.
Good.
Uh,
I got one. What is your favorite jazz album of all time?
Miles Davis, Kind of Blue.
Kind of Blue. I knew you were going to say
Yeah,
that.
I mean, it's kind of, I guess it's,
I was thinking that in my
typical. But it's, he's an incredible trumpet player.
Yeah,
and
that's a classic, man.
Yeah,
That's the best
and I
one.
can play that on repeat.
Nice.
I was gonna make her crack. Like, imagine she says, like, "Oh, Kenny G."
Oh, no. Some soft jazz.
Soft jazz, and her voice even went lower. Soft jazz.
Soft jazz.
Yeah.
That
And
doesn't count.
And so,
Don't ever say Kenny G and Miles Davis in the same
No.
sentence again, please.
yes, I know, right? But you know, Kenny G, I think has the top
He's a fan.
He's
a fan.
highest selling album, jazz album. I don't know why they consider it jazz, but I mean, I don't know, whatever.
Is that
Right?
what,
It is jazz.
Is that what you're playing all the time in your
Yeah.
office? Kenny G.
Is he still around?
I have no idea. He
Yeah,
knows.
he's big. He's big in Austria.
He's like, I'm going to a concert
He's
next
big in
week.
Austria.
I was like, I'm seeing him at
Why
the
do you
Hollywood
think-
Bowl.
Why
next
do you think I
weekend.
was? Why do you think I was in Vegas?
What are you
Hello, hello. I mean, it was
He's like, how
wild.
dare you not know when Kenny G is playing?
Is he around?
What are your favorite countries to visit?
So far, well, I did a trip to South Africa with my bestie in 2023. That was an incredible experience. We did safari. We went to Cape Town.
Nice.
So I think that's
Nice.
what, like top. I would go back 100%. Yes.
I heard they're running out of water in Cape Town or South Africa. Is that true? Do you know about that?
I did not hear about that.
Okay.
Somewhere in Africa. I was reading that too. Is
not-
it Cape Town? It might be Cape Town.
Yeah, I thought about that.
Yeah.
But how was the safari?
It-
I've always wanted to do a safari.
Me too.
I mean,
Incredible.
It's on the list. For
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, for sure.
Incredible. So
Yeah.
our trip, we went to Kruger National Park.
Okay.
We jumped on. I think we did 2 days of safari, and then like immediately out the bat, we crossed the gates because they keep you enclosed. With behind electric fences for obvious reasons, but as soon as we got out, made a turn, there was a hyena den, and they're just chilling. There's like baby hyena there. We saw all the big animals: elephants, giraffes,
Really? That's
lions.
awesome.
Yeah, the staff is super knowledgeable. We saw rhinoceros. It's a great
Are
experience.
you in like open jeeps going
Yeah.
around? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so
and
it's a
also kind
high
of scary.
peak.
I mean, were you like freaked
Yeah.
out ever?
No, because our guide was really cool. Like he was very,
Yeah.
he told us what not to do. Like obviously,
You could tell he had things under control.
oh yeah.
What do they tell you not to do?
Well, like one of the biggest things you can't
Move all
do,
fast.
not necessarily that, but like you want to make noises at them. When you see a lion, you want to be like, oh, here, kitty, kitty. You're not supposed to do that. Yeah, because that draws their attention. So you don't make those types of noises to them. If you don't stick your arms out, so your limbs are inside.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Don't get out. Don't get out. Although we had to stop for a bathroom break, and you're out in the bush.
Yeah.
So we did
Wait,
get out.
they like stop and you just walk out of the car?
Yeah.
But are they like patrolling?
So I guess they know their areas where to stop. Yeah. I see
Where
your
it's, like,
face.
safe.
So we jumped off, and we're
I'm
kind
wearing
of
diapers.
So we were taking photos, but it was incredible because like he was rushing us to get back inside,
I bet.
and like once that clicked, we're like, oh yeah, we're out in the
Like,
middle
I'm
of the
number.
bush.
It's number 2, man. Wait.
But I was like, you're right, we have to get back inside. So that was a little thrilling.
Yeah.
But they know where to stop. They know what to do. So yeah.
Nice.
it's a lot
Sounds
of fun.
incredible.
Yeah.
And was it like a resort thing where? Because I know that there's some reserves that are like right next to the reserve.
Right. So this one, it was, I know. I think
Oh, look, we just saw a picture of you in
South Africa.
Yeah.
There I am.
And there you are. You're making cat calls to the lion.
Exactly.
lion.
I'm the one doing what you're not
kitty,
supposed to do.
Come here.
Yeah.
Can we pull up a Kenny G album?
We did. You missed it.
I know. I saw that. That's my favorite one right there. Yeah. You see? Look at that.
Does he
5 o'clock shadow
does
and
he
everything.
still look like that?
Highly doubtful.
I highly doubt it.
It's been a while, I
doubt it.
think.
So South Africa, what else?
Highly doubtful.
I also just recently took a trip to Australia, so
Ooh,
that was
nice.
a lot of
Where
fun.
Kenny G is based. No, I said Austria, right? Yes,
You said Austria. Yeah.
Nice.
That was an incredible place. We went diving in the Great Barrier Reef.
Oof,
Wow.
that's cool.
That
That's
was
on the
fun.
list too.
Like scuba diving?
We went snorkeling, I should have
Okay.
said. Yeah, they did
Yes.
have the option to scuba dive.
But
we
you
did
need enough
snorkeling.
time, like to get certified. Well, I mean,
So they-
not certified. Sorry,
Unless you're already certified.
Right.
right.
Yeah.
Because I think you can't like jump on a plane like if you've been scuba diving
Right.
like a couple.
because of the
days.
pressure and the
Yeah,
altitude.
Yeah,
Right,
you can
right,
get the
right.
bends. You have
Yeah.
to wait, I think, 48 hours after having gone scuba diving. Oh, a turtle. I did see a turtle.
like that.
Yeah, he was
That's
just swimming
awesome.
around like that. It was really, really fun.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, Australia was an incredible trip, Fiji too. But I also, one of my favorite places that I want to return to is Guatemala. It's where my family is from. Yeah, so.
Him too.
Oh, sweet. I
Yeah.
thought I want to say I knew this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are your parents from?
La Capital.
Okay,
Yeah,
nice.
Guatemala
Yeah,
City.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
My mom is from Guatemala. Sorry, from Huehuetenango. There we go. Look at that.
Okay, yeah.
Let me just put the start playing the
national anthem.
What do you think the G in Kenny G stands for?
Yeah. Kenny Guatemala. I like that, huh?
I didn't know he was a national treasure.
Ooh. Have you been to Antigua?
I have.
Beautiful, isn't
Beautiful,
it?
yeah.
Oh, my God.
With the volcano, you can just see the volcano
He's told
in
me
the
about it.
distance. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's incredible.
I've actually gone up to the volcano.
Oh, you have?
And you spend the night, like,
wow.
And what's crazy is you're spending the night, and the active one, which is right next to it, is just constantly, like, going off. Right? And
That's
it's
crazy
almost
too.
like,
Yeah.
That's wild.
It's
It is
crazy to
wild.
think it's
Yeah.
an active volcano. People are just like strolling around.
and then they wake you up around 3:45 in the morning so you can get to the summit, like, right at the time the sun's, coming
Oh,
up.
that's cool.
So it's awesome.
Nice,
it's
nice.
pretty
I
cool.
need to do that.
Yeah.
I definitely need to do that experience.
Nice. That's cool. Well, look, it's been a pleasure. Honestly, it's great to get insight from a woman a trial attorney, because we don't have enough of those, and we do need more numbers.
For sure.
Especially in the public defender's sphere, where I think it's I think people just think, in general, the clientele is going to be male, but female clients, I think, they need somebody that they can relate to, and I think that they would probably relate a little bit more to a female attorney, right?
Yeah, definitely a female to relate to, and somebody from their community as well. So I think it's important to serve in the community. So.
Yeah, please keep doing what you're doing. You're doing great work.
Yes.
We
Thank
really
you.
are impressed.
Yes.
Thank you. Well, thank you for having me.
Yes.
It's been fun.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
All right, that about does it. We talked about Kenny Guatemala. We talked about safaris. We
Miguel's
talked
favorite
about
artist.
being fearless. Don't catcall a lion on a on a safari.
If you learned anything, yeah.
Yeah, and something I learned was that they actually have bathroom breaks in safaris. That's wild. That's like mind blowing.
But it makes sense if you think about it.
No, it doesn't.
What do
They're
you-
wild. Hello.
What do you do? You got to,
But then you
Hold
go back
it.
to what I said. Be fearless.
Yeah, that's a little.
There you go.
Be fearless.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank
All
you
right.
both.
Thank you for tuning in to Sidebar Sessions by CD Law. Subscribe to our podcast channel and follow us at CD Law Firm. Wine picks are welcome. From Custodio and Dubey, your personal injury law firm. We'll see you next time.